Korr'Mel, a wasteland of broken stone and shattered dreams. Once it had been Atherion, a realm of vibrant life and potent magic. Now only desolate ruins remained, monuments to a forgotten age. The air hung heavy with the stench of decay and the dust of fallen empires. Nothing grew here, nothing thrived. The silence of the grave lay heavy on the land. It was a silence broken only by the howl of the wind. It whispered through the shattered remains of once great cities. It was a mournful sound, a constant reminder of the catastrophe that had befallen this world. The very ground seemed to radiate a sense of loss. Atherion's fall had left a scar, a wound that ran deep. It was a wound that refused to heal. Korr'Mel was a testament to destruction, a warning whispered on the wind. Above, the sky churned. Angry clouds, the colour of bruised flesh, clashed in a tempestuous dance. Lightning split the heavens, jagged forks of energy that illuminated the desolation with a fleeting, ghastly light. Thunder boomed, a deafening roar that seemed to shake the very foundations of the world. The storm mirrored the land below. Both were chaotic, unpredictable and dangerous. They were reflections of the shattered world, expressions of its pain and rage. Even the heavens wept for Atherion. The wind howled louder, whipping the dust into a frenzy. It was a living thing, this storm, a manifestation of Korr'Mel's fury. It raged against the dying of the light, a primal scream against the encroaching darkness. But even in its fury, the storm held a strange beauty. It was a raw, untamed power, a reminder that even in destruction there was a certain terrible majesty. Amidst the ruins of a once great temple, a structure of white marble now stained black with time and sorrow, a ripple of energy disturbed the air. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, it spread outwards, distorting the very fabric of reality. The air crackled, charged with unseen power. The ripple widened, becoming a tear, a gaping wound in the veil of reality. Through this fracture, a glimpse of another place could be seen. It was a fleeting vision, a kaleidoscope of colours and shapes that defied comprehension. From within this swirling vortex, a low hum resonated. It grew in intensity, becoming a deep thrumming that seemed to vibrate in the bones of the world. The very air grew taut, anticipation crackling in the atmosphere like static electricity. The tear stabilized, becoming a shimmering portal, a gateway between worlds. And through this gateway, a figure emerged. He stepped out of the rift with a measured grace that belied the chaos surrounding him. His form was cloaked in obsidian black, the fabric seeming to absorb the light around him. A hood was pulled low over his head, obscuring his features in shadow. In his hands he held twin blades, their edges gleaming with an unnatural light. The weapons pulsed with a soft, inner luminescence, a heartbeat of power that echoed the rhythm of the storm above. They moved with a life of their own, extensions of his will, their edges hungry. Upon his face he wore a mask of polished obsidian. It was featureless save for a series of runes etched upon its surface. These runes glowed with a faint ethereal light, pulsing in sync with the blades in his hands. They spoke of ancient power, of forgotten knowledge. They whispered of the Veilwalker's purpose. Section 5. Runes of Power. The Veilwalker moved through the ruined temple with a practiced ease. He touched a hand to a fallen pillar, his fingers tracing the outline of a glyph carved into the stone. As he did so, the glyph flared to life, bathing the surrounding area in an eerie green light. With each step he took, more glyphs activated, ancient magic responding to his touch. The air thrummed with energy, the very stones seeming to vibrate with power. Runes on his mask pulsed brighter, feeding off the energy he was unleashing. He moved with purpose, his path leading him towards the heart of the ruined temple. His steps were measured, deliberate, each movement imbued with a quiet power. He was a being of both shadow and light, a conduit for forces beyond mortal comprehension. As he walked, the Veilwalker whispered words in a language that was both ancient and alien. The words hung in the air, charged with power. They echoed through the ruined temple, a promise and a threat. Section 6. Whispers of the Veil. The Veilwalker stopped before a massive slab of obsidian that lay half buried in the rubble. It was a shard of the veil itself, a fragment of the barrier that separated worlds. It pulsed with a faint, ethereal light, a reflection of the storm raging above. He reached out, his gloved fingers brushing against its surface. The shard responded instantly, the pulsing light intensifying. Ripples of energy spread outwards, distorting the air around it. The whispers grew louder, transforming into a low, guttural growl. For a moment he simply stood there, his head bowed, as if listening to a voice that only he could hear. Then, with a swift motion, he drew one of his blades and slashed at the air. The blade cut through the fabric of reality as if it were the thinnest silk. A second rift opened, smaller than the first, but no less potent. It shimmered and danced before him, offering a glimpse into another world. This one was dark, filled with shadows that writhed and twisted. Section 7. An Unseen Gaze. High above, perched atop a crumbling statue, a figure stirred. Concealed within the shadows, its features were impossible to discern. But its eyes, burning with an unnatural intensity, followed the Veilwalker's every move. It had been watching him since his arrival, its presence as silent and predatory as a hawk circling its prey. The figure's form flickered in and out of existence, as if it were having difficulty maintaining its grip on this reality. A low hiss escaped the figure's lips, a sound filled with malice and anticipation. It was the sound of a predator sensing an opportunity, the sound of a storm gathering its strength. The figure watched as the Veilwalker opened the second rift, its eyes narrowing. It seemed to sense the power that the Veilwalker wielded, the danger he represented. And yet there was a flicker of something else in its gaze, a spark of curiosity perhaps, or maybe even recognition. Section 8. A World Asunder. The Veilwalker turned, his masked gaze sweeping across the ruined temple. He seemed to sense the unseen observer, a subtle shift in his stance betraying his awareness. But he made no move to acknowledge it, his attention remaining fixed on the tasks at hand. With a gesture, he sealed the first rift, the gateway to his point of origin. The air shimmered once more, the fabric of reality knitting itself back together. The decision was made. He would not retreat, not yet. He was a being caught between worlds, a traveller adrift in a sea of chaos, but he was not lost. He had a purpose here, in this shattered realm. He had come to Korr'Mel for a reason. The runes on his mask pulsed once, a silent affirmation of his resolve. He was the Veilwalker, and he would see his mission through to the end. Section 9. The Journey Begins. The Veilwalker stepped towards the second rift, the one that led to the realm of shadows. He did not hesitate. He did not look back. He walked into the darkness, his silhouette swallowed by the swirling vortex of energy. The rift closed behind him, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. Above, the storm raged on, oblivious to the drama that had just unfolded. But in the air, a sense of anticipation lingered. The Veilwalker had arrived. Korr'Mel would never be the same. The unseen observer remained hidden in the shadows, its glowing eyes fixed on the spot where the Veilwalker had vanished. It too sensed that this was only the beginning. The game had begun, and the stakes were higher than they had ever been. A new dawn was breaking over Korr'Mel, a dawn of shadows and whispers, of ancient magic and forgotten powers. And at the heart of it all stood the Veilwalker, a figure of mystery and might, his destiny intertwined with the fate of a shattered world. The journey had begun.